Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United Transfer News Daily Live, where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. We're going to start off with Wan Bissaka because this seems to be the deal that everybody is most excited about at the moment and is generating, I would say, real extremes of opinion here. I said last night just before I went to bed, I'd watched Love Island, I'm just tucking myself into bed and I thought, you know what? This Wan Bissaka deal makes a lot of sense, but I still haven't seen enough credible sources to make me think that this is going to happen, which we're going to discuss in a moment, because a lot of it is Sky Sports, who I think they've got a lot of work to do to trust them again. And then the rest of the people saying about Wan Bissaka are the liars on Reddit and Twitter who are saying, oh, my source says he's had jam on toast for breakfast and in his Manchester United pyjamas. Don't believe you. You're faceless. I don't trust you. I'll go with what I trust. But having said that, James Ducker, I think Telegraph writer, he's pretty good. He said that, United probably will go in for another bid. Simon Stone, BBC, has said it's logical that United are in for him. And then Fabrizio Romano, who works for Di Marzio, who we're going to talk about Delit in a minute, he said United probably will bid again. Whether it's going to be enough, as everybody knows, it's quite complex. So I think the truth with Wan Bissaka is this. Manchester United appear to be bidding for him, but there's no guarantee we're going to get him. Crystal Palace may not want to sell. Crystal Palace may want ridiculous amounts of money. But it appears Manchester United are in for him, but it looks like it's far from done yet. That can change very quickly. If United give Palace what they want, it can happen very, very quickly. But I think at the moment, talks are ongoing and it could go either way, is what I would look at it. Although even part of me still thinks, are we really in for him? You never know. You never know. Can we not just sign you? We need a quality keeper, says Joe Riker. We don't want me then. But there was an interesting story last night coming out from the Sun. So take it with a pinch of salt. They were saying that Wan Bissaka has told Crystal Palace that he wants to move to Manchester United. It's his dream move, which I think is interesting because I think we've been talking about Koulibaly, we've been talking about Pogba, we'll talk about Lukaku in a moment and what he said. But realistically, if the player twists the situation, that's when the power goes to the buying club. Now, apparently Wan Bissaka has not put in an official transfer request, and I don't think he would be that disrespectful to Crystal Palace, to be honest. He's only 21 years of age. He's only really had one breakthrough season, and the indication from him about a month ago publicly was that he was happy to be at Crystal Palace in a year's time. So I think that this may be, if there is any truth in it, this is just a sort of nudge to Crystal Palace to say, look, it's a dream opportunity to go and play for Manchester United. I would like that opportunity. But Crystal Palace may well say, well, yeah, you can have that opportunity if Manchester United give us the money. But I think it's an interesting development because it's just more and more snowball effect of trying to get this deal over the line. And remember, we always moan about Real Madrid and their little drip effect of getting Pogba and players to them. I think United are probably doing the same thing with Wan Bissaka here. Drip effect, trying to get the deal towards Manchester United. It's an interesting change of situation if United do get Wan Bissaka. 21 years of age. No doubt he's one of the best right-backs in the Premier League at the moment and would be a fantastic acquisition that you would look at being at United for many years to come. I think that, when you look at the alternatives, there is Aarons at Norwich, who's probably a little bit less experienced because he's been doing it in the Championship. And then you're looking at people like Cancelo from Juventus or maybe a Thomas Meunier from PSG who are slightly more experienced. United seem to be obsessed with going down this route of young, certainly British Premier League proven talent, and that in many ways is quite exciting. So let's see what happens with the Wan Bissaka deal. I think it's very, very far from being over the line, but there's a lot of encouragement there. And I certainly think we're heading into quite a critical 48 hours, not just for Wan Bissaka, but for other deals as well. We're approaching another weekend, and whilst Manchester United can do deals on a Saturday and Sunday, the groundwork tends to be done in the week. And I wonder what Manchester United are doing groundwork on at the moment. It seems to have gone a little bit quiet with Bruno Fernandes. It seems to have gone a little bit quiet with a lot of other things. And everything seems to be focused out around Aaron Wan Bissaka at the moment. So if we are going to get that deal done, it would be a very significant deal to get done this week. And as we've said, we need to be doing a deal a week. We need to be working on a deal a week because it's 4 weeks till the start of the season. So let's see what happens with it. As I said last night, £50 million is what I would be willing to play for Aaron Wan Bissaka, but it's not my money. It's not my money, and maybe United would want to go above that. But interesting. I think the one thing we can take from this is I'm sure Wan Bissaka would like a move to Manchester United, but it's going to be a very difficult deal to do with Crystal Palace because they're in a position of power like many of the lower end Premier League clubs. They're not poor anymore. They are all well off. They don't have to do these deals. So let's see what happens. I think it's very, very interesting. Let's talk about De Ligt just very, very quickly, because I did mention Fabrizio Romano, who's one of his journalists and has openly spoken about the Wan Bissaka deal, which gives it a little bit more credibility. Last night, Dimarzio coming out and really saying that PSG are now the team that are talking to De Ligt and Mino Raiola. I tell you what, I just don't really give a shit, to be honest, anymore. And I don't want to be blunt like that, but I think many people were feeling like this last night when we were talking about De Ligt, and I think it came across from me quite well as well. I'm frustrated with this deal. I'm tired with this deal, and I totally empathise with Barcelona as well. I mean, what the bloody hell is coming down? You know, this is this circus again, isn't it? If he goes to Barcelona, I ain't got a problem with it. If he comes to Manchester United, fantastic. If you go to PSG, what a waste. What a waste of a career. I've got no respect for players who go to PSG. I haven't really got any respect for Ander Herrera going to PSG. I like Ander Herrera. I understand why he left, because United didn't give him a good deal. But PSG, I mean, come on. And you're a 19-year-old. You're one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs in the world. You're 19 years of age, and you're going to go to PSG. You'd be far better off staying in Ajax. Playing for PSG, you probably get 6 tough games a season, and the rest of it you're playing against farmers. It's a joke, and it's just totally about money. And if that's what De Ligt ends up doing, I'm glad we didn't get him, and Barcelona should be glad as well. Go and get Ruben Diaz or someone like that who actually wants to develop their career, because a 19-year-old like bloody De Ligt going to PSG, wasting your career to get a big payday. Piss off. You know, seriously. Oh, but PSG are in the Champions League. PSG will be in the bloody Champions League if they played the bloody cafeteria team. You know, they're always going to be in the Champions League. It's not hard to be in the Champions League when you're PSG in the French league. And they're going to win the league. Oh, wow. So bloody what? You could do that with a blindfold on. You know, why don't you do that and make it a little bit more challenging? It's not a competitive league. It's a joke league with a club that's run on oil. And if he goes there, you learn nothing about yourself. You don't develop yourself. It's a waste of time, mate. And that's coming from Dimarzio. No, that's not coming from Dimarzio. That's my opinion. But Dimarzio saying that PSG have sort of moved ahead on that with De Ligt. Milik or Werner for a Lukaku replacement, says Andy Nisbet. And hello from Australia, mate. I love your work, says Caleb McGee. Thanks for the contribution there, pal. So yeah, I wouldn't be happy with that. No faith. Ed couldn't find his arse with both hands, says Kalachi Gaming. Well, another thing that was very interesting last night. We've got loads to talk about this morning, so please do smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and share the video. I think we are moving into an area now. The reason I've done this show live, it normally happens at 7 a.m. The reason I've done it live is because last night was the last fixtures of international games of any significance. Obviously, you've got Copa America and the African Nations of Cup coming up. The African Nations Cup. I can't remember what they call it now. But the European international fixtures are over now. Last night was the last games. France was playing, Belgium was playing, as we know. So I think it's going to speed up now. People are going to go on holiday. People who are looking for a move probably won't go on holiday. And I think it's going to get quite, interesting now. We've got some quotes to talk about. So please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and make sure you've got your notification bell on and clicked, because I think we're going to be going live at ridiculous times. That's how it's going to work. Money talk, says Mbuna in relation to De Ligt. Look, you know what? It is. And NFH says, who are the credible sources about Bruno Fernandes? We've had a few, really. We've had an Italian journalist, I forget his name, I spoke about him the other day, very, very credible. And the link makes sense. And there's a lot of Portuguese media talking about it. And of course, I was told 2 months ago that Manchester United's main priority was Bruno Fernandes. So hopefully that will bear out as well. But it has gone a little bit quiet with him at the moment. De Ligt transfer taking too long, and I'm starting to get annoyed, although I'd still love him, says RJS Game. And I think everybody feels like that. I think everybody feels like that about it. Really, and that's just the way it is. But I think it's important that Manchester United start getting some deals over the line now. Just talking about Ed Woodward, as somebody was there. Interesting thing about Ed Woodward is that the story last night is that Manchester United will not be appointing a director of football this summer, and Ed Woodward will remain in charge of transfers. This irritated a lot of people. My line with this is, what top club in the world has a bank manager in charge of transfers? It's ridiculous. But with regards to the director of football, I think you've got to understand that even if we appointed Paul Mitchell, who's a good director of football, or any good director of football now, It's the middle of June. It's too late. This had to happen in February. A director of football in the way that we want, somebody who's got a comprehensive scouting network and understanding of football and negotiating, etc., etc. You don't appoint them in the middle of a transfer window. They need to come in like 3 or 4 months before the transfer window so they can use their knowledge, look at the club and start identifying talent. You can't do that in the middle of a transfer window anyway. So we've screwed it. And this is because Manchester United at top end want to maintain control. They don't want their opinions diluting, and whether that's Ed Woodward or whoever, they don't want how it is at the moment to change. But it has to change because the last 6 years has been terrible with regards to recruitment. It's been a joke that nobody wants to relinquish their power. Nobody wants the obvious appointment of people who know what they're on about in relation to player recruitment. So we're stuck in that problem, and I think we'll have a good transfer window, but maybe next year and the year after we'll have a crap one again, because whilst we've got these people in charge of recruitment, we will have bad transfer summers. I think this summer I'm quite confident we'll have a good one, but we need a director of football desperately. There's a lot of speculation around Mounier and Tielemans. What are the chances? I see a lot of recycled rubbish about them, says Metal Music Reviews. Well, I always felt that Manchester United were going for Mounier because I was told that, but this Wan Bissaka story has sort of come out of nowhere in the last 2 weeks. There was a lot of liars saying Wan Bissaka to United. He missed the United game in March not because he was injured, because he didn't want to play against the club he was moving to. Wan Bissaka was not coming to Manchester United until about 2 weeks ago. The proof is there, the facts are there. Crystal Palace said he wasn't for sale. He said he wasn't leaving. United weren't looking at Wan Bissaka. In the last 2 weeks, something has changed, and we'll see what happens with that. So I don't think Mounier, if we're in for Wan Bissaka, we're not in for Mounier. So that would close that off. Tielemans, I think, is still odds to go to Leicester, to be honest with you. Let's talk about Lukaku, because he did score a couple of goals yesterday, and the Lukaku Manchester United fan club was up and running yesterday saying we'd rather keep him than Rashford, blah, blah, bloody, blah, blah, blah. Well, to be honest with you, that's your opinion, and if you want Lukaku to stay, that's great. All Lukaku did last night is what Lukaku does. He's a flat-track bully. He scores goals against poor teams, and I'm sorry, Scotland are a very poor team. I'm sorry, if you're Scottish, you'll admit it as well. You're not a great team. You're just not. Belgium were always going to win that game. Lukaku's always going to get chances against Scotland. One of them, he went to hit it in the goal and he hit his bloody foot, so he's a dodgy striker. He's got a terrible first touch and he's a flat track bully. His record against the top four was like 1 goal in 17 games. I'm sorry, that says to me, he's a top 4 striker. He may be able to score loads of goals in international football, but to be honest with you, I personally think that most strikers in the Premier League would score a lot of goals in the Belgium team because you've got brilliant players putting balls on the plate for you. But regardless of that, I want Lukaku to go. I'm not going to change my mind. I didn't really want him in the first place. The videos back that up, and my fears about him in the first place have been backed up. Flat track bully, crap first touch, and that, I'm bored of that. That doesn't suit what I want to see from Manchester United. And you may dislike Marcus Rashford, and yes, he does have his weaknesses, but he does have a first touch. And that's very important in a team that you want to play quick, fast attacking football. You can't do that with Lukaku. So what has he said after the game? He said, basically what he said is, nothing's certain, I'm going on holiday, but I'm expecting a big summer. He's flirting with going again, and to be honest, get on your trampoline touch and bounce out of England, because I don't want him at Manchester United anymore. And it's about getting the right amount of money. And if he's at United next season, we're a weaker team for it. It's the same as Alexis Sanchez. If he's still here, we're a weaker team for it. Phil Jones, Ashley Young, they're going to be here. We're a weaker team for it. But Lukaku's got to go. I really hope he is going to go. I think he's flirting. He's making the right moves. I wish him all the best, of course. Just go. So, yeah, hopefully that sounds quite positive, because every time he goes on Belgian international duty, he just seems to hint about he's going like he's some great commodity. And you're not, mate. Most Man United fans want you to go. So, good. I applaud the fact that you're hinting that you're going. I hope somebody in the higher echelons of the club sort that deal out, because it will be a big step forward for United. We should sign Ziyech. Keep up the good videos, Mark, says Captain Herrera 21. Nice fade, Mark. Thank you very much. I have had a haircut. Dybala says traditional Dinka songs. Yes, Dybala is going to be discussed. So Sky Sports talking about Dybala, saying that he's probably going to leave Juventus again. This is a yo-yo story. I think some stories are a yo-yo. I mean, De Ligt's a bit of a yo-yo. One day United are favourites, one day United are out of it. One day he's going to Barcelona, one day he's going to PSG. It's a yo-yo transfer, and people start to get irritated with it. Dybala is very much a yo-yo transfer as well. He's leaving, he's going to United, his brother's got it wrong, Juventus want to keep him. He's leaving, and the situation with Dybala is he's not had a very good season at Juventus. He's not really adapted to Ronaldo coming into the team. At 25 years of age, you wonder whether he can have another season like that. So Dybala may be leaving Juventus, but this is the sort of dangerous deal because this is what I was talking about, Bruno Fernandes. I think United will sign Bruno Fernandes, but I think the only thing that's going to stop United signing Bruno Fernandes is if their eyes wander onto another deal at the last minute. Remember, we did it with Morata. We went for Lukaku at the last minute. So United are capable of putting a lot of work in on a deal and then suddenly going, oh, that's a shinier toy. I'm going for that. And Dybala sort of strikes me as that because Dybala's not a winger. Dybala he's basically he's a bit like Griezmann, he's a bit like João Felix. His best position is a support striker, a false nine. How would that work with United? Because United could not have Dybala as a false nine. You need somebody with a bit of pace, a bit of hold-up play. So it wouldn't work. So you'd have to sort of play Dybala as either an inverted winger in a 4-3-3, which would be a mistake, or you'd have to play him in the diamond as the sort of number 10, which would think, well, why would you get Bruno Fernandes? So I think Dybala, I like Dybala. I do like Dybala, but I think for Manchester United, he's the wrong signing. He's a player that's leaving a club because they don't want him anymore if he does leave Juventus. Has he got the consistency? I don't think so. Has he got the ambition and fight that United need? It's questionable. So I really hope that we're not in for Dybala, but there is talk of him leaving, and of course Manchester United always get linked with that. The T-Rex Go Get It says, this generation of players are disgusting. Nothing but a bunch of spoiled cowards running to teams that guarantee Champions League and trophies before the season even starts and have the nerve to speak of ambition. Fair point. And Mr. Beast says, loving your content. I feel we can get Bruno, Lozano, Rabiot, Wan Bissaka and Maguire / De Ligt. Would be great to see 2 or 3 holding the scarf. Let me just clarify that then. So right back Wan Bissaka, yep. Maguire or De Ligt centre back, yep. And then Lozano, Rabiot and Bruno Fernandes. So 2 midfielders and a right wing. I'll tell you what, mate. Let's end the summer now. Let's just get that done. Lozano is the right winger. Rabiot and Bruno Fernandes as the midfielders. Wan Bissaka as the right back. Maguire as or De Ligt as the centre back. I'd be very, very happy about that. I'd be very happy with that. You know what I would say though, and I was thinking about this in the shower, so don't get all bloody excited thinking about me in the shower. You're only human. But what I would say is, what if Pogba goes? This is something we've got to be very flexible and fluid with this transfer market as United fans, because when we all spoke about it at the start of the summer, we were like, we need 2 midfielders, a right winger, a centre back, and maybe a right back. They're the 5 that we need. So, and that's what Mr. Beast just said there, and I think it's a great comment what he's just said. However, if Pogba goes, that 5's not the same anymore. We need 3 midfielders. But I think United will mug us off. I think they'll go, if Pogba leaves, we bought 2 midfielders. But the point is, we need 2 midfielders if Pogba stays. If Pogba goes, you need 3 midfielders. Because we're weak in the midfield. So if you get Bruno Fernandes and Rabiot and Pogba stays, I'm really happy. That gives us some good options. If you get Bruno Fernandes and Rabiot and Pogba goes, we're screwed. So we've got Rabiot, Bruno Fernandes, and then we've got Matic, McTominay, Fred and Pereira. That's not good enough. So if Pogba goes, we need 3 midfielders. So I would say Bruno Fernandes, Rabiot and Partey if Pogba goes. If Pogba stays, don't get Partey, that's fine. But we've got to get 3, and that is something we need to bear in mind. If Pogba goes, we need 3 midfielders, not 2. Henry, because remember, the 2 midfielders that we're getting are replacing Ferreira, Fellaini and Herrera. Henrik Accent says, would really love to see players that want to be here and that wants to fight to bring United back to the glory days. I feel Lozano could be one of them. I agree. And to be honest with you, if we do get Wan Bissaka over the line, he's a player that is going to look at Manchester United. It's a step up. He's hungry, he's talented, and he's the right age. And we can't moan about that. That is exactly the sort of player that United need to go and get this summer. Very talented players who've got big growth in their development, who will see Manchester United as a big step up. Dybala ain't going to see United as a big step up. Gareth Bale is not going to see United as a big step up. Lozano from PSV, yes. Wan Bissaka from Crystal Palace, yes. Both very talented players. Even Harry Maguire from Leicester would see it as a big step up, yes. So we need as many of those players as possible. Bruno Fernandes would definitely see it as a big step up, yes. So we need as many of those sort of players as we can possibly get. If you're joining a little bit late, the Wan Bissaka story is that he sees Manchester United as his dream move and he wants the move. He's not put in a formal transfer request. And as I said, with the Wan Bissaka deal, I think there's enough happening in the last few days to suggest that Manchester United are in for him. The credible sources are acknowledging that, but basically saying it's a very difficult deal to do. It's all about how high United want to go and whether Crystal Palace will accept that. The interesting thing about Wan Bissaka, and I don't know whether anybody knows this, is he part of the England Under-21 international tournament in Italy? Because if he is, he's off on Friday. If he isn't, and somebody said to me he's not part of it, he's got an injury, I can't find anything about Wan Bissaka having an injury. I know he had to withdraw back in March from an under-21 squad, but I'm not convinced that he's got an injury this time. Lukaku out, Martial and Rashford with Bruno as CAM pulling the strings, says Jerry Hansley. Look, I think at some point you've got to trust what the manager is trying to do. I'm going to take some questions in a minute. You've got to trust what the manager is trying to do. If Lukaku goes, people think we should go and buy a striker. I don't know. Let's see what happens when Lukaku goes, and I'll see how I feel about it then. Having said that, you've got Martial who wants to play up front. You've got Marcus Rashford who wants to play up front, and you've got Mason Greenwood who I think looks ready. You've got 3 strikers there. Do you need to disrupt those 3 players to go and buy another striker? I think we maybe need a different striker. I think maybe we need a tall striker, but that's difficult. It's difficult, isn't it? And whether, people say, well, look at 99, we had 4 strikers. Look at 08, we had 4 strikers. Yeah, but we're not a team that's going to be fighting for the title. And we're not a team that, the Europa League, is it really important until the last few games of it? So I think we can be okay. I mean, the interesting thing for me is, if Lukaku does go, I don't think Sanchez is going, because we'll be left very light in the front positions. If Lukaku and Sanchez go and they're not replaced, you've got Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Daniel James, Lingard and Mata as and hopefully a right winger as your options in the front 3 positions, which is just it's not deep enough. There's not a deep enough pool of talent for that. Any news on Ndembele, says Francois Grundling. Yeah, I don't think we're in for Ndembele. I think Manchester United would like to sign Tanguy Ndembele from Lyon. I just don't think we will be signing him from Lyon. I just don't think we are a strong enough candidate for a player that has done very well in the Champions League and probably wants to stay in the Champions League. I think the last I'd heard, Juventus, PSG or Spurs. I mean, what irritates me about PSG is that they're chucking money about, yet they're dodgy as hell. Like, I thought they were going to get done by financial fair play, but it appears not, which gives no confidence that anything's going to happen with Manchester City. Fabrizio Romano just tweeted, a meeting with Crystal Palace is set for this week, says Ben Scholes 18. Well, he didn't just tweet that. That's pretty old, mate. We've just spoken about that about half an hour ago. Welcome, Twans 86, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. A few people talking about the Fabrizio Romano thing. It's not breaking news. It's basically what Fabrizio Romano was saying, and he is a journalist of Demartio, is that Manchester United will meet with Crystal Palace later on in the week about Wan Bissaka, but it's still a very difficult deal to do, and we'll have to just see what happens. So, it doesn't really add a hell of a lot to the conversation, to be honest with you. And also, I must just say this, Demartio is a very, very good journalist in relation to transfers. And his Fabrizio Romano was very good last summer in relation to Liverpool. But with regards to Manchester United transfer news, they've not been that good for a couple of years, I must say. Somebody who monitors a lot of people and has a lot of people who I consider to be credible, not so credible, etc. I sort of haven't had my own ranking system. I like Demartio, but actually with regards to United, they haven't been accurate for a couple of years. I mean, that last summer they were talking about Fabinho to Manchester United, and United were never in for Fabinho. Fabinho admitted it, and of course he went to Liverpool, so not everybody's right all the time. We don't know what's going to happen with Chong and Gomez, Suhal or Twan Sibi yet. Van der Beek would be a good signing, traditional Dinka songs. I like Van der Beek. I think he's almost like a young Herrera with more potential. So I do like Van der Beek, and I think he'd be available for a decent price. I think Van der Beek suits Manchester United really, really well. I like his aggression. I like his movement on the ball. I think he'd be a very good signing for Manchester United. I just don't know that we're in for him. I don't know whether we're in for him or it's just paper talk. But I do like him. I do like him. When is the United Stand FC video out, says Amor Sahorta? Hopefully it'll be out this coming weekend. Yeah, we've got games going on all the time at the moment, so it's just about scheduling the editing, etc. Lozano, Ryan Lee is a player that we like, but we are not linked to. I think he wants to come to United, but United seem to be very, very quiet on that. Having said that, United are very quiet on all their right-wing options at the moment. What I did hear last night is that United are looking for an experienced right-wing option. Well, experienced right-wing option to me suggests somebody over 28. Who's available? Experienced right-wing option. Gareth Bale. Same mistake again. Let's go. I mean, did you see Gareth Bale for Wales last night? I just think he's on the decline. Like, Daniel James looks a better player than Gareth Bale. Why are we interested in looking at Gareth Bale? Please avoid it. Please avoid it. Talk about João Felix, says LS Beerus. I don't think United are in for João Felix. I've always felt that we're not in for him. He doesn't make sense for what we need to do this summer. I don't think United are in for João Felix because his best position is a support striker. And that's not really what we're looking for. And he's going to cost 100 million quid. So I don't think we're in for him, to be honest. Would Bale be the worst thing with all these young players, says Tony Ingham, coming in? He could make up for a lot of inexperience. Also, big players attract young up-and-coming players. Well, there's two things with that, Toby. One, I think you're looking at Gareth Bale as one of the best players in the world. Two, he's on the decline. He's quite simply on the decline. So why is that a good thing for United when we're trying to build something new? And three, where's the evidence that Gareth Bale is a great role model for the younger players? This is where people fall into the mythical fantasy world again. It's like, let's keep Mata because he's great with the young players. Where's the evidence of that then? And if he was so great with the young players and so experienced in the dressing room, why for the last 3 months of the season were we running around like a bunch of Pampers FC, absolutely crapping ourselves with no leaders? I think people get confused and think because a player is 30 plus, they're great for the young players. Bollocks. If you're a leader, if you're a leader, you're a leader. Doesn't matter whether you're 19 like De Ligt or 34 like Ashley Young, who's not a leader. If you're a leader, you're a leader. If you're not, you're not. Gareth Bale was almost like a leader because of what he did on the pitch. I've never seen Gareth Bale as a, rousing, do this, do that. I think Gareth Bale led by example, but he ain't playing well. So how's he going to lead? So I really don't want Gareth Bale at United. I think it's the wrong signing, but I do think there's a chance that we will bring him to United, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, I could talk for ages. That's your latest transfer news. It's live. Welcome to Anikit Upper DR. Latest member of the United Stand Members Club. You can do that by clicking the join button. Please do smash a like on the video. I know it's early, but it's nice to get 1,000 likes on the video. We will be back at 8 o'clock tonight, unless something happens during the day. And I do think we're in that situation now where things can happen at any point. So please subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the video. Get your comments in below, and let's see what today brings. I would keep an eye on Wan Bissaka stuff. Bruno Fernandes, I think something's going to happen with that today because it's gone very quiet for 24 hours. Is he going to go on holiday before he makes his mind up? Because remember, he finished for Portugal a couple of days ago. So Bruno Fernandes, I would keep an eye on those stories. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon.